We
John, could I build a little bit? Besides, and I'm 66 years old. I've thought about these issues for a long time. Besides decentralizing everything back down to the precincts level, another really big area in which I believe improvements in election process could happen would be with the recognition that the federal Constitution recognizes that the people that really decide the election are referred to as, quote, electors, unquote, and those are the ones that are to be chosen in each state according to the federal Constitution by the state's legislative assembly. But what we're doing with the modern election process is not working with electors in the term in which that phrase should properly be interpreted from its constitutional history, because I believe that word electors comes from the grassroots, from the Exodus 18 model of government, where there's townships that the electors form the small 10 household community townships. The townships form the precincts form the counties. And so if we're counting electors instead of registered voters, like what's going on now, then at that point, those electors would have the authority to notify the state legislative assembly of what their decision is. It wouldn't be left up. I believe presently, you probably know this, I'm kind of confused on this point. I believe if all the registered voters in the state, majority of them anyway, vote for a Democrat or a Republican, then the Democrat or Republican Party produces a slate of electors that the Secretary of State certifies then and forwards on to the federal government, because the registered voters in the state, a majority of them, voted for either the Democrat or the Republican. Is that accurate?
a lot of that's changing, and I don't know. I'm not a specialist in that. I follow it. I don't like the electoral college. Personally, but that's not what I do. And
sports always is a good analogy to use. And anytime a batter gets into a slump, they got to go back to the basics, and America is in a slump.
Yep.
So how is it that we get past the deception? Because now we've allowed the rabbit holes to go so deep that it seems overwhelming and unrealistic to navigate through all of them and get past the deception. And then you've got situations like with Giuliani and Powell, where there's threats of Dominion suing them for billions of dollars. Now you tell me how you're going to get people to say, oh, heck yeah, I want to join in on this. When, is that a real, the deception has just been so overwhelming. And so you can't help but wonder, is that a real lawsuit, or is it a fear factor to get people to keep them from getting involved? I mean, there's just, nobody knows what to think anymore. Nobody knows what to believe anymore. You've got Q. I was just joking around with Michael today, our new theme song between the two of us. I'm stuck in the middle with you, because it's like you've got Q or you've got
in the middle with Q.
There's just all kinds of craziness going on, and it's like,
yeah, there is.
How do you get the people to jump on board to get involved in this? Because who the hell knows what truth is anymore?
That's true.
I know.
I think you framed it very well. And what we know as facts today can be bullshit a year from now. Okay. I mean, hey, I saw a movie on Netflix about circumcising, and I realized that was a cult thing too. okay, if you look into it. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's interesting what we're taught and culturally believe or whatever. You know, I think that the advantage that I have for figuring things out is that I'm ADD and I'm dyslexic, and I think a little differently. I think like an engineer, that nothing is fixed till I know why it broke. You know, when I get involved in something, I go deep. I mean, there's very few election integrity or transparency activists that you'll find that have been in this thing for 17 years and have the energy level and do what I do, because the more I know, the more I need to know and keep learning. And you know what? It is a really a tough situation. All I know is that the solution is very simple. It's for what we got to fix in elections is make it transparent, make it trackable, and make it publicly verified, and make it where the public can verify, that people
Amen.
can simply learn how to be election scrutineers themselves, that they could go ahead and say, hey, let's have a party at my house. I got these ballot images, and we can project them and have some clickers, and we can have a click party, and we can go through and have 2 people on each team, and we'll go through our precinct in one night and randomly pick some races and see if we can find some fraud.
Yes.
You know, there's so much we can really do. And, you know, hey, let's face it, you know, if 100 years ago, if somebody said, hey, we're going to give the ballots to this guy, he's going to go in another room and count himself, and he's going to come out and tell us, they would have tarred and feathered him.
Yeah.
Now they
In fact,
call him a community geek.
you make that comment about 100 years ago. Just last night, we were shown a video that was done in 1956, talking about a virus that would be